Hello, and welcome to the Prosperity Artist Podcast. In this episode, I'm going to put myself in the hot seat with two amazing, lovely, divine, powerful guests. The first I'm going to pop up here is, both of them. Here we go.
The twofer.
It's a twofer. We have Mallory. Mallory is my chief of staff. So she is the engine that got this podcast running. Are you making engine moves, Mallory?
Yes, I am making engine moves.
And Jajhehan is one of my first co-hosts for Prosperity Artists, which is going to be our transformational event platform. And we're going to be running 2 events in Tulum. The first one on February 13th with Jajhehan and myself, focusing on partnerships. And the second one with all of us, so Jajhehan and Mallory, focusing on personal power. And it has been a journey to get to this moment in 2026 and to be at a place where all the things, and I say things quite literally, like all the things that we can sometimes focus on life and make more important than life itself, right? So the podcast, the external, the external view of the work that you're doing that can then be communicated to an audience, right? So your website, your business, your image, your brand, your name even, right? All of these things for me have been in transition since 2018, big time. And it's really fun to see them all come together and come together now and come together with this team, which was pretty much inconceivable for me 9 months ago, literally. And so it's an honor to be here and to be sitting with both of y'all. So one, welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And then before we jump into me, let's do a little intro. And so this one, I think it's really funny. There we go. I'm going to put you in the hot seat, Mallory. So Mallory Whitfield. Also, we are streaming now to Creative Badasses.
We're not streaming this one to Badass Creatives. We'll stream the next one to Badass Creatives.
Wait, I thought I forgot about it. So yes, we are going to be streaming. And so let's what is your YouTube channel? What is that brand? I have a whole story about you. But let's start with that, just because we are going to be streaming, and we're going to be streaming in a couple hours. So shout out your YouTube channel, Mallory, and tell us about what that to me, I think of it as just it's going to sound a little funny in the language, but like a creative entity that you have nurtured over years, and that has gifted a lot of people guidance, growth, understanding, and really permission to just be their full selves. But yeah, how do you talk about creative badasses?
Yeah, so I have a YouTube channel called Badass Creatives, and I started. There was an audio only podcast by the same name that I started in 2017, 2018, kind of around the time that we first met in person, Shebala.
I get it right. Shebala switched them. I was in my dyslexia today. But Badass Creatives at Badass Creatives.
Creative badasses, Badass Creatives. But yeah, Badass Creatives is the name, is the website, was the audio only podcast, is a YouTube channel. And that container has held a lot of things over the years, including like I did an in-person retreat back in 2018-ish in New Orleans, where I've been based for 20 plus years. I've done all sorts of coaching to artists and creatives, which I know both of you ladies know a lot about as well. Like we sort of had all held similar roles in that way. But
We did
Badass
a
has been
in
the container for that for me.
2019, 2020. We did a retreat. You came and spoke at my retreat here.
That's true. I did. Yeah. In Texas. Yes. Yeah. And that would have been under the umbrella of Badass Creatives. Yeah. So Badass Creatives continues to evolve. Who knows where it'll take me next or if it will exist? I don't know because, things are unexpected in my world.
I'm like, speaking of, right? So I was like, speaking of unexpected, so we do have an entire podcast episode that is about to come that is exploring you and the leaps that you've made in your life and the trust that comes with that and your whole journey to starting to like dance with human design as part of that. And then at some point in time, I will do your medicine map. But let's just touch on your unexpected. So just a little bit. I know I'm going to be on the hot seat, but I just want to just highlight to people like that right now you are supporting me, and I'm so fucking grateful as like chief of staff of Shebala.com and supporting me with like Woefulness and all the other stuff we're launching. However, you have lived so many lives in terms of like career pivots. And I just want to name a few, just because you very much are not someone that can be in any box. So do you want to name a few? But like I just remember when you were touring, like, so like you were running around, you had a one-woman show.
I did. I created, developed, produced, performed a one-person show / theatrical keynote. Yeah.
Right? You were speaking
Yeah.
all across the US on embracing your weird.
Mm-hmm.
You were an adjunct professor of marketing, if I remember correctly, or
yeah, I taught and developed some courses on digital marketing, essentially for Tulane University School of Professional Advancement.
Right? Is there a book?
I've self-published 2 books, one about selling at craft shows, which is something I did for about a decade during my 20s, and then another one that's basically about the embrace your weird idea. It's called We Are the Weird Ones, and that one ties into the show that I created.
Then we met at Craftcation, because you had something related to crafts and we're teaching marketing crafters.
Yeah.
So we have,
and then I was also for about a month and a half a professional drag queen on Bourbon.
I was getting there, like, yes. So I just want to claim that because I am very, very grateful to continuously call you my chief of staff, and I'll say it over and over again, but we're coming through. And so like, I'm like, yes, like add that feels really good. But that is Mallory. So Mallory's coming in with just the depth of experience from all angles of her own unique, evolving, and courageous human experience. And you're a newbie to human design as well, a newbie-ish.
Yeah.
Like you're hanging out with me, so you're going deep too, like newbie-ish.
Yeah. I mean, I think you might have been the first person that I knew and already knew and trusted as a friend that I heard mention it, that made me sort of be like, maybe like this keeps popping up on my radar. Maybe I should like look into it. And then, I pulled my chart from whatever free source online and kind of poked around and then forgot about it. But then it kept popping up again. And then, my husband like suggested a couple podcasts that we listened to, and I went down like YouTube rabbit holes a little bit. But then with you, I've continued to pull out more of the depths of it beyond what I would have gathered from random YouTube videos.
Yes. Amazing. And so we'll dive in. This will not be the last you see of Mallory, as long as she decides to continue to hang out with me. You will see, Mallory. I must introduce Jajhehan. And so it's Jajhehan Ives. We just did a 3 hour.
3.5 hour.
I'm counting the 3 hours. We spoke for 2 hours and 50 minutes ish of the 3 hour and 23-minute podcast. On the depths of Jaji's story.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's for me, though you have lived such an adventure, I just feel like artist and mother, like truly embodies you.
Yeah. That would be
ways.
Yeah, I would say artist, mother, and spiritual seeker. Like those would be my 3 wayfinders.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's just, there's so much more, right? There's closer energy, there's meditator energy, there's like the family planner, there's all these other pieces, but I really believe that everything that you do is art, and you truly find like the flow and balance in everything, even how you've worked with your motherhood, etc. And you've had like the depth of a super intense, truly like professional career in art.
Yeah.
Going from like artist to paid artist to like managing galleries to art consultant for folks trying to purchase art, to teaching art somatically, now gracing us from a retreat perspective with that, to leading retreats, to then starting a business from the art that you were creating for your kids, scaling that business, having it in major retailers, shutting it down, and then supporting people who wanted to start businesses. Not fun, right? So all of these things.
I just keep following the energy. I'm, that's the whole thing, is if it wants to be born through me, I will birth it.
And then what's beautiful is for both of you, but then Jajhehan, your human design, however, and I don't know that we'll talk so much about human design, but I just think it's fun to talk about human design, spiritual journeys on a whole. Like, so your spiritual seeker aspect started at birth.
Yeah. From the womb.
As you were born into, it is a Sufi community?
Yep, a Sufi community outside of Philadelphia.
Born into the Sufi community, named by a guru, her grandfather. And yeah, like that's just like the onset. But then you've been hanging out with me for like 9 months, officially working together. We've known each other for like 10 months. Does that sound right?
Yeah.
But intimately, you've been like watching
we didn't just like, hey, nice to meet you, let's have a few lunch dates. It's like, let's just go deep right now.
You've been watching me go through the deep. And then Mallory, I just was thinking, time-wise, how long has it been?
Since I've been your chief of staff officially?
No, not chief of staff. Since you've known me. Because Mallory helps me actually launch my first set of companies and do like the back end technical stuff of it. And that was in probably like 2018. I feel like, we met in 2018 or 2017.
Yeah, we met in 2017, 2018, somewhere in there, because it was when I started going to Craftcation, because that's where we met. Because we were both speaking at Craftcation on like marketing and business for artists, basically. And then I remember right around the time of like the early days of quarantine and like 2020, I think I was helping you with some back end stuff for sure. I remember.
So you've watched me essentially through my entire transition.
Yeah.
Okay. So that is our
so there's no hiding anything from Mallory.
Yes, okay. I was like, of all humans to choose to put me in the hot seat,
you chose well.
I chose wisely. I chose to not be able to hide. And so Are you sure? Should I can make y'all big and make me.
No, I think you're in the hot seat. So for people watching and not only listening, Shebala, her face is on the big screen right now.
Exactly. There's no hiding Shebala.
Yeah.
All right, take it over, ladies.
Well, so you, like you pointed out, you and I met 2017, 2018 through Craftcation, which is a conference for artists and makers. And we were both teaching marketing and business classes for artists, basically. And that kind of touches a little bit on your like professional business leaps and rebirths that you made. But I kind of jumped in the middle of that story, I guess, is when I met you. So do you want to take us down that path of your professional rebirth journey?
My professional rebirth journey. So that's funny. It's interesting that you said professional rebirth journey. So for those of you who are into human design, I am a sleeping phoenix, and we're meant to like live all these different lives. And I thought when we're talking about leaps, I would really talk about leaving corporate. But there is a story of being in corporate, because essentially when I first starting the corporate journey, in truth, it was out of avoidance. So like I'm just laughing as I think through this. Ooh, okay. So I had a very determined mom. Like she really saw and understood my potential and did not want me to put myself in a box, didn't want to put me in a box, and also really valued education, the education system then. We lived in a little bit of a different world. The thought of what we're doing now, especially what we're doing now is like literally impossible. Like there was no YouTube or any of that. And then what we're doing now on top of it, like as a Black woman in America, is like another level. Though she did not have those barriers. So she spent a lot of time trying to raise me devoid of lack. And her whole thing was like, I'm going to give you everything so you won't like miss out on things. And when we didn't have the money, she would be like, let's figure out how to make it. So I traveled the world at a very young age. My first international trip was at age 7, because my mom wanted me to learn French, and she literally organized a trip with the school. There was no exchange. And so she like figured out how to organize it. And then on the back end, it all fell apart. And we literally ended up with like 10 Martinican kids staying in our house, like just our house. And we did not have a house to fit them. Like, okay, so and then and even when she went, she couldn't even like she had issues like getting off the plane, like immigration things, visa things. It was a whole mess. But she was like, I'm gonna make it happen. And so essentially at age 8 is like the first time ever I lived home, like away from home, and I stayed with a host family to learn French. And then from then on, I lived with about 12 host families, and every single one of those required us to raise the money. So we were like selling flowers, chocolates, going door to door, all of these things. And I bring that up because by the time I got to a career and the idea of a career, I had already lived all over the world. I had already seen what life was like in places like France, where you could take time for lunch, and like been to China. And now I can honestly say like none of it made sense for me. Like I both had like a part of me that was like at that time, none of it made sense. And the only thing that made sense was love. And I had lots of for those of you who like human design, 59.5 is one of my placements. but I would just travel for love. And I really wanted to, at the time of college, move to wherever my boyfriend wanted to move to. Like that was my ambition. And so my mother was like, "You are going to get a PhD." And so I was like, "Mom, I figured it out. I'm going to get an MBA because that is more in alignment with me. And we've done business things like this whole time and da 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 and all, you know." And I said that partly because I really thought I wouldn't get in.
Mm.
And then when I got into MIT, I freaked out. Luckily, they gave me a conditional acceptance. I was having a lot of stress on the GMAT, so I kept taking it and having like super high score on one side, fail the other side, super high score on the other side, fail the other side. So anyway, I essentially did it, but and got the score they wanted. But I asked if I could defer it for a year. I lied to my mom, told her that they did not want me to come without a little bit more experience because I got in directly out of undergrad, which I thought was impossible because it wasn't the requirements. And then I bought a one-way ticket to Russia with no intention of ever coming back. And I love how I haven't do anything about business, but I got a one-way ticket to Russia and started traveling with my boyfriend at the time, thinking I was going to marry him. And moved to Singapore. And that was actually like my first job. And it was like straight survival, but also I didn't have a visa to work in Singapore. So it was on the black market back there, like back then, like that's how they would call it. And yeah, that was my first job, like doing my first job that I got on my own. Prior to that was sales jobs that would fund my trips, and like helping my mom with different network marketing businesses. And also she was an Avon lady and had a store. And so it was like, that was like my first job. And then when that failed, I had MIT. And then coming out of MIT, I got really conditioned there. I didn't get the corporate job that I wanted to. And it pivoted me. I went to France again just to follow another boyfriend. I went to Italy to try to follow another boyfriend to France. And I call them boyfriends. They were actually fiancés. So I was engaged 6 times. So I will caveat that I didn't just think I was going to marry these people. Like I had rings to prove that I was going to marry them. That did not work out. But anywho, so I did that. But I can't believe I'm talking about this. And so by the time it was time to work, I was exceptionally excited about like the prospect of working in marketing. But that was only because consulting and all that, like all the industries I thought I was going to do that were a little bit more exciting for me and would have the travel failed. And then it was a really weird year. And I ended up just changing career after career after career after career, partly because of the economic environment, partly because I just didn't fit, partly because all my medicine woman stuff was coming through. And I know we haven't a leap yet, but all of those were leaps, I guess.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, that sounds like you were just following, because changing career after career, it wasn't caprice. It wasn't like, oh, I'm just done with this. It sounds like you were following your sacral.
It's
or
really,
your gut.
It's the answering this question is doing something to me because I'm having to like go back to it. And there's lots of ways to tell this pain, like this story. There's a pain version of it where you tell it from a lens of victimhood. Like I legitimately felt sorely misunderstood and was because I really truly could not communicate myself. And I was still in the lesson of my 4323. Someone who has understandings and gives them, but they're not received. And my gate of shock, like, so like my medicine woman was coming out and I couldn't see it. But the question is, was I following my sacral? Definitely in love. Like all those trips, they were sacral yeses. Like I remember, the moment Genevieve was like, "Let's go." That's the only name I'll say. I was with him for a long time. I'm gonna not say any other names, but I remember when he was like, I'm gonna do the Trans-Siberian. And I was like, what? What is that? I didn't even know what the Trans-Siberian was. And it's like, it's a train. And like, I'm like, I don't even like stuff like that. And I was just like, yeah, let's go on a train. I didn't even research it. Same for the India trip. He took me all over the world. And whether, like, at first I thought he was just so excited. Like sometimes I'm like, was it my sacral or was it my open emotional center just jumping with energy? Like I do not know. I was jumping. I think I was jumping on his excitement. I was like jumping on other people's, like I could feel people's emotional energy and I could not differentiate mine or theirs. So I cannot tell you honestly if those decisions were like sacral decisions. I could
Interesting.
tell you the decisions to leave careers were like everything got soured and then my body was like, I gotta get the fuck out of here. So those were so the decision to at that point in time, the decision to say yes was not sacrally motivated. It was like I can't feel my energy, and or sometimes it was like ego based. So it was my heart. So like I was like, I want this. Was it aligned? Did I have the energy for it? Probably not. But I was just like, we're just gonna do it. So yeah, I'm like, I think it was a mix of sacral, money channel, following previews that weren't for me, jumping on people's energy is a mess. Is what it was.
There was a moment right in one of your was it your last corporate job where you definitely did not trust your sacral, correct?
Yeah. So okay. Ooh, that's tough. So my last corporate job for which I signed an NDA and isn't available on my LinkedIn because they made me like sign away my life. I was so excited. So essentially, it's a little weird. It's both. So yes, and so I got laid off. So I got to director of marketing, super excited. I always knew I loved marketing. And I didn't really resonate with a lot of the corporate stories that people tell. Like corporate was horrible. I fucking loved corporate. It's just that people didn't love me. That's how I felt. Like I was like, I love corporate. It's just people love me until they hate me and they don't always love me. And now I'm out. And I was just like, I want to find a job where I can just drink the Kool-Aid and be happy. And I would drink the Kool-Aid and then people would be like, why are you so into this? Like, what is your agenda? And I was there like, aren't we all here to like fulfill the, brand mission and all this stuff? And so anywho, so that was me. And then I got laid off and started coaching women. That is when you met me, Mallory, which was when I started doing Craftcation. I called myself Curly Executive that time because I didn't know if I was allowed to do those things while doing my business career. And I was like, let me just call myself something different and make a brand so that I can do both. And I kind of was starting it originally because I saw social media developing and I felt like I was being pigeonholed in my corporate career. And then when I started doing, and I found these hair accessories, which I still make to today, but I liked them. These are what I like, little flowers. And I was like, I'm gonna wear these flowers. I can't find these flowers. So I started making these flowers. I always said it was gonna be my my old lady business, like my grandma business. And I start making them, and I end up needing to sell them because it's really expensive to make them. Because I went crazy. I spent thousands of dollars sourcing old tools, like the old French style. I got really nerdy with it. And then I was like, ooh, I can be creative. I'm going to make these. I'm going to sell these. I'm going to put them on social media. I'm going to learn social media. And then Craftcation happened, and I started supporting women because I would be at these fairs and people would ask things and I'd give them all this advice. And they'd be like, oh my God, you make me money. And it was such a different experience because in corporate, people were like legitimately getting mad at times. They're like, you don't make enough money. You only made 10 million instead of 12 million. And you're like, okay, so that's 2 million short. And then you'll come back and it's like, you made a bunch of money, but now you brought too many people into the park. And you're like, okay, what do you want from me? So I was having this like really wild experience where in corporate, I could never satisfy people because it was like either not enough or too much. It was like I was really trying to have my Goldilocks moment and they would not give it to me. But then out in the world, I would give someone this tiny nugget and she's like, I can feed my family. And the impact was so wild that I was like, I need to be over here, like helping people. And like all this basic stuff from corporate is like monumental for these like small business owners. And I could just take this from here to there. And like, this is amazing. And so I really felt that energy. And then when I started speaking, I love that. And I met Mallory and I'm like teaching and all that stuff. And I'm like, this is what I'm going to do. And at that time, courses were just starting. And I'm like, I'm going to launch a course and I'm going to teach and I'm going to go on YouTube and I'm going to create this channel and I'll be like an influencer, which we didn't have a name for back then. Okay. I will be on YouTube. And I stopped myself because I was afraid that, ooh, this is deep. That if I launched YouTube and that if I used all of the opportunities that were given to me as a Black woman in America to just be on YouTube and to throw away my MIT degree and all the things, then that would be a waste. So I could see the vision and what was possible and frankly what was coming for YouTube and all of it. But I didn't trust that. And I thought that that would be me not living up to and frankly disappointing my ancestors, my guides, everyone who's a Black person in America. Like it was like, you can do more. Why are you doing this? So that is literally why when this company came to me and said, we have this job, said yes. It was because I was too afraid to take that path. And the wild part is the job seemed like my dream job. I was like working for a large cruise line, $1 billion business. They were like, you're exactly what we need. Your upbringing, you're traveling around. It's exactly perfect for us. We want you. We love you. There were members higher up, like the daughter of the founder of the company went to like my alma mater, like you're basically family, all this stuff. And then when they brought me in, they decided, because they were going through a restructuring, that they were going to put me with a certain individual as my boss. So not the person who had been interviewing me and trying to work with me for the last 6 months, but like his number two. And in the interview is when I felt my sacral for the first time. And then she said some things. And my gut felt so sick. And she was like, are you sure you're ready for this experience? Like was one of the last things she said to me, like in our interview. And I was like, it was all so fucked and confusing. And I wanted to vomit. Every part of me felt terrible. And I still took the job because I felt so guilty about letting the world and Black people and, my family down. And because the salary was $180,000 at the time, and I knew that, like, my husband, we just bought a house, like, I didn't want my husband to worry about paying for things, and so I put all that pressure on me. And yeah, I said yes. Um, and that ended terribly for me, that
Mm.
whole experience. I said it ended terribly. Um, and it also ended up here. And so it was like it ended terribly. I left the company. Um, things were funky about it. I signed an NDA, so that can tell you some things. But the short version is my medicine woman started coming out, but it literally kind of like scarred me with doubt
Mm.
because I believed some of the feels that other people projected onto me. And then I went on a lot of detours in business, took a lot more leaps and ended up here. And so it was all worth it. But oh my God, I wish we would have known. I wish I could see the other version where like there's a version of me that's like, what if I had followed my sacral at that moment? What would it look like?
Mm.
You know?
But you don't know what you don't know until you know it, right? It's like that's the thing.
Or until you never know it.
Until you, well, that's yeah.
So yes, Mallory, that was the first leap.
And you didn't listen to your sacral, and you learned the hard way, and then you doubted yourself, and you listened to false business prophets, as it were, and eventually we got here, though.
Yes, false business profits were a fun detour. So I paid a coach back then, and I can say this because she said some things. So I paid Mariah Cause $48,000 over a couple of years for marketing lessons, which that's
I'm sorry.
can we laugh at me?
Yeah,
Yes,
I'm laughing.
this is why it's like,
I'm
sorry.
Where did you go and what did you study again, Shebala? Like,
I went to MIT and I got an MBA in marketing, and I worked for major companies. I received an award, the NBC Gem Award, for my marketing. I received an email, like I literally got an award for email marketing, like a national award for email marketing, for life cycle email marketing, and then hired somebody to teach me funnels. Because her sales pages were so good that they convinced me that the work that I did, that was frankly the same,
mhm.
probably more advanced, was not applicable to the online space of like coaching and stuff like that.
Mm.
Worse, so I went through her program and it didn't get the results at that time. And then I signed up again.
Mm.
For like, a deeper dive, like we're gonna do it with you. And then as they're moving me through this, they're telling me things, and I'm like, but that's not gonna work. Like that's not
Mm.
gonna work for me. And if you listen to the podcast that we did with Jajhehan, she had the courage to be like, no.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I got my husband involved. My husband like helped me set up everything. Got Mallory involved. And eventually I did set up like a funnel. So I did use her system, like literally her Airtable. Let me be very clear. I used her Airtable and I was happy to have that Airtable. But the reason I can say her name is because she then releases a few years later a program called Fearless CEO with an exceptionally vulnerable message. And the message said, because I realized that my version of this and trying to be so structured was creating fear and anxiety in my client. And I'm like, yes, motherfucker, that's me. And then she's like, so now buy my new program, Fearless C. And I was like, what about my $48,000? Where's my refund? How am I not grandfathered in? Now, mind you, I didn't ask her. So she didn't respond on messages anyway, but I didn't really ask her. So I don't know. Maybe they would have honored that. But that was like my validation to be like, oh shit. What I was feeling was real and I was right. And it was almost like when she launched that and I realized I was right, then I could really create my thing. And then I did launch my program. I did use her system. I did use her like Airtable and some of her tech backend, which is one of the main reasons. That's like the one thing I really didn't have that was helpful. Mallory set it up for me because I could not follow the instructions. Didn't you? You set everything up.
Yes, there's a reason that you hired me as your chief of staff even now. I'm good at tech things. And
that's not the reason I hired you. That is,
there's so many reasons.
I noticed.
Yeah.
She set up my whole
also I'm good at tech things.
I remember launching everything, like having all these things. And then I was like, I don't know how to plug it in. Like literally, I was like, I can't plug it in. Like everything was, and I'm like, Mallory, please, can you help me plug this shit in so that we can launch? And so I did launch 3 companies. So first first the flower hair accessories, then a dance company, then the business coaching company. And then when all of that was like up and running, everything broke after that. So all of that was up and running and we had the celebration. And that's where I would say it was worth it. And I felt like everything was a detour that eventually led me back to my initial gut, which was go do this coaching thing, get out into the world, support women. So for me though, I don't know, like all of that was teaching me to trust my gut. I didn't have language then, to follow my intuition. It was helping me see how easy it was to lose track of your confidence and your vision. And that is what I eventually taught women to do. Right. So all of that got me to really like being in my power. And at the height of it, it was really cool. I ended up doing a massive partnership with Teachable. I taught 14 different courses with them. I really was like that badass coach. And I had I had a $40,000 weekend and that was amazing. And I was like, I'm going to make more money than I ever did in corporate so fucking fast. And this is awesome. And then my spiritual journey occurred. And then cue spiritual journey.
You're like, I've got it all under. I see the path forward.
Woo!
Well, and
here comes the fire for the phoenix.
As you're talking about learning to trust your gut, I've heard you tell part of this story as it relates to how you sort of leaped into human design, right? Because I've heard you talk about how with some of your clients, you were talking about your gut, and me and Shebala are both sacral authority, right? But Shashi, you do not have
I don't have a gut.
Right? So imagine Shebala like telling a client with no sacral to trust their gut. And they're like, what?
Let's talk about that actual story. So the person who actually started, so we are going to be doing this retreat in Tulum. The retreat that I like to say is not a retreat; it's a homecoming. But for purposes of people understanding what we're talking about, right? So this event, and the first person I ever took there was an emotional manifester. He was so basically riding the wave of this whole thing. Everything's awesome, and then we have like COVID and I'm just trying to like adjust and I'm moving at full speed. And I mean like I have a dance company. So now I'm like moving everything online, building more courses, all this stuff. And COVID met me with many challenges. including my contractor. I don't even know how to say this, but my dog died. And my contractor was at home. I left the dogs locked up. I came back and my dog was dead. And there was blood all over my house. And to this day, I don't really know the depth of that story, but this was like the person I could trust most, like in my business. And so when that happened, everything kind of went to shit after that. And all of a sudden, I couldn't make money. My juice was off, like everything was off. And things started creeping slowly back online. And I started focusing more on the business coaching. And I had 2 clients that were attracted to me. And one was Yvonne, and Yvonne's at New North Baby. She's amazing, young, bright, has now built like a thriving business, and is between here and Mexico now. So she was this manifester, and I would tell her to use her gut all the time. And no, and you know, I told other people to use their gut for years, and then she's like, I can't do that. I'll have one. Like, that's not my human design. And I'm like, this crazy woman, because at that time, I wasn't me. Like, so I was literally like, this crazy woman is telling me, like, that she's using this system and this system is fucking her. She's not making money. And I was convinced that she must be paying attention to a system that doesn't make sense or just wrong. And then at the same time, luckily, because part of the issues was I was also biased against Yvonne, because I was biased against everything woo-woo. And I was terrified of anything that looked like witchcraft. That's the short version. Like, I was terrified of anything that wasn't Christian, because my grandmother is a reverend. So like, my grandmother is a reverend, and my family is like heavily Christian. Like my Jamaican family literally sends me like Christian songs and stuff, and like they're like, that's my family. And so I was like, yeah, like all this spiritual stuff. Anyway, and the other person, there's 2 people. The other person was Rebecca Morrison. She's a happiness coach now, formerly a lawyer. And she is Christian, Lutheran family, same like religious, like not same denomination, but same like religious family. And she knew human design too. And she's like, oh, I'll give you a little crash course. And so she gave me my first mini lesson. It was a 2-hour session. She talked me through human design specifically for clients. And she made me a little cheat sheet and said, if people are like this is how they best make decisions, etc. And that allowed me to talk to, because I was like, I need a language to talk to this crazy woman. Basically, that's how I felt. And so I was like, and I went and started talking to Yvonne, who, by the way, is like exceptional, educated, grounded, and was way far ahead of me. And she had been a seeker. She had studied all of these different wisdom systems, and then also new business and stuff like that. And she was coming to me for support. My ass is judging her and trying to get her to do what I knew would actually work for her, but that I didn't have the language or the full level of depth that I have now to be able to customize it for her energy. Because Manifestor was like new. So to make the long story short, I end up having to learn human design at depth to be able to help Yvonne. And that's literally why I learned the system. And I helped her make lots of money. Like, she had her first $10,000 week. And I also did create a plan that would have burnt her out if she properly followed it.
Which is important for manifestors, because we have that power, but we can absolutely burn ourselves out.
So she was like riding on my energy and needed to take a break. And then eventually she created something beautiful and balanced. And thanks to her, I went on my first trip to Mexico. And that is actually like what kicked off my human design. And because she was so adamant about like, I want to get your juice, but I know that this is not the way for me. It literally, like, I wanted to help her so much that I was so inspired by her that it literally made me say, let me go learn this system and get really deep with it. Yeah.
So in getting really deep with that system, because we were talking about my human design journey and how it was kind of kicked off, like I was playing with it because I'm a seeker like Yvonne, and a manifester like Yvonne.
Yeah. You would love, both of y'all would love Yvonne. You need to get Yvonne on this podcast. She's amazing. Okay, sorry.
There you go. Note to Mallory, Chief of Staff, get that one. And so you stepped into this journey again because you wanted to serve somebody. You wanted to like meet somebody, and it was like driven by this love for your client and wanting to expand that. And I know for me, I found Karen Curry Parker through like a circuitous route. And what was your, like, it sounds like your other client sort of introduced you, but I know you're like me, you're not just gonna, obviously, as we know you now, like where else did this boulder take you? Yeah.
Okay, so first I met we're gonna, like, there's something else here. I'm like, oh, it's juicy. I'm like, talk about this Cancer moon. So Yvonne then tells me about Jacqueline Michelle. Jacqueline Michelle, another love of my life. She's like nerdy human design, and I fell in love with her writing, like her blog. And I ended up working with her, and then she was working with me. So she was building out some of her offering. I was learning human design from her. She became my best friend. And so then we started going like really deep in human design. And we actually did like the first iteration, the first launch of this was with her. I launched the Energy Ergonomics podcast. And we got through launch week and had a whole blow up. And then she stopped talking to me. And because she just like went and retracted and needed space. And then I did talk to her since then because I was like, what did I do? And she's like, you didn't do anything. And I was like, okay. But it was so tough. But that was like really a pivotal moment because I got all up in her energy. And then she took me down this massive rabbit hole. She has, I helped her start the program called Karma Clearing and then became one of her clients in it. I totally didn't finish it, but like she blew my mind by sharing all these books, these wisdom systems, like all of these things. And at some point in time, I realized two things. And I can now say it from like the lens of like zooming back out. We teach human design from our experience. And for her, it was like really about digging into your shadows and like understanding that and then kind of having compassion for yourself. But the system is not a compassionate system at all when you look at the original downloads.
Yes.
And so I was starting to have some dissonance. And then with her approach, there were some things she would skip over, like detriments, right? So I was like awakening some of these things for her. She was, building out her stuff. And I was like I was starting to probably move into someone who really has a point of view on human design versus someone who is just receiving it. And as part of that process, I was like, I want to get more formalized training, especially because, to Jacqueline's credit, but I want to say her name because she gave me the roots. And to this day, I really feel like even though there's some things we would do really differently, she's still one of like, I really enjoy moving through that process with her. Like she truly woke me up
What's her
in a,
type? I'm
in a
curious.
really structured way. I believe, I don't remember, but I think it's like 1-3 and then a right angle cross of Eden.
Oh, interesting.
What I will say is like right angle cross of Eden is all about bringing people into your personal heaven. She did that for me.
Yeah.
And her personal heaven was human design.
It's interesting. The other part of the right angle cross of Eden is also having those experiences where you get kicked out of your own personal heaven.
Oof.
My husband is a right angle cross of Eden. I know this cross well.
Yes. And I made a face, but I'll make it. I think it's funny. Her chart literally says work wifey next to it. Aw. So 1-3. And you're saying about getting kicked out of your personal Eden. I may have like done a little of that for her unintentionally by highlighting certain things, asking questions. But what we realized together was that her design gave me root definition, and she had, like, the whole 952, and I've got that 53, and it's just like two different ways of working. One's like that, bah, bah, like go boot camp style, like approach, and the other one's step by step by step by step. And so learning how the sacral connects to the root and how that impacts like work dynamics was this massive understanding. And then I was like, wait, we didn't talk about that at depth. So then I went back into like original texts. Like, so almost like our end created a new beginning for me in human design. And it was me re-entering into like the juice and the roots of human design. I don't know if I would be where I am in human design if it weren't. I certainly wouldn't be here if it weren't for Jacqueline. Like, I mean, maybe the system would have found me anyway, but not in this way. And that anchor in compassion and that anchor in like, this is a system that was downloaded by a white male, da da da, and the history she gave me, because she came up when all of the gender identities and the people who are big now were starting their self-study journey. They were apparently in like this is secondhand hearsay, but they were apparently in like a Facebook group together, and there was all sorts of tea and all sorts of drama from that time. So she kind of gave me her view of the lens of like human design and the evolution. And she was like, there's kind of these self-taught people, and then there's these OG people that charge you and Jovian Archive. And I was like, I'm gonna pay and see what that looks like. And when I looked at Jovian Archive, it was like too much of a time commitment, too expensive. And then I was poking around at Chayton because I was just kind of like, who's the oldest person living that's teaching this stuff?
The grandpa, the living grandpa.
It's like a mix of like, my whole thing is like, who's the best and who's like the wisest and who's the oldest, and like, just how much do I have to pay you?
You're like, I want to go find Yoda somewhere and like sit in the
Yes,
swamp.
exactly.
It came from that, and it would come from also like, I don't have time for this shit, because that back then I was like, I need to just get clear on this human design stuff so I can get back to my business life. Like that was my thing. I was like, this is complicated as fuck. Let me figure this out so I can get back to being a business coach, and I can get back to like killing it and doing what I need to do.
How you did it. Oh, what did you, if you knew now?
If that was my intention, I picked
Let me
the
just
wrong
take this little pit stop so I can get back to my main route, instead of, oh no, I just got off on the exit ramp and I didn't realize I did.
I took a one-way ticket and I did not know. And so part of that one-way ticket. So then I'm poking around. I see Chayton's like website, and like, man, I just feel, I think it's y'all's energy and just so honest today. I'm just like, let's let it all out. And I was like, this thing is like old. I was like, why hasn't he updated things? Like, I really was in that mode, and I'm poking around, and I'm like, I like that in some ways, because I was like, okay, like he's legit. He's like OG then, because like he's not in the frills of trying to like be like market this and da da da. I was like,
Yeah.
okay.
There's
Like,
no
look,
flashy show here.
no. And I was just like, he's probably just really into this thing and he hasn't touched it because he's been doing it forever. So I see this button and it was like book a 101. And I was like, wow, because it was like the unlock key to the funnel. Like I saw all of their funnel, but somehow there was this like space for me. And I was like, how did I find this? And I booked this one-on-one, and I think it was specifically for his mentorship call. And then what happens is I end up getting a free 20-minute reading for him. It's also one of the reasons I still do gift readings. Like it's almost like a nod to like this OG experience that I had, except that mine has been hidden. I wonder if it's still there. I might have just told someone, but I basically got a free 20-minute experience. And he in 20 minutes, like, I don't know, in my life, I was just like, oh shit. And he was right. He is also wrong in the sense, like, I'm trying to prove him wrong for a couple things, and I think I have. One being that I won't have any traveling partners. And I was like, case in point. Traveling partner 1, traveling partner 2. But he said a couple
too.
that made me to like want to like prove him wrong. Even though that's not, I'm usually not in the energy, but I was like, no, it wasn't prove him wrong. Like my body was like, this is wrong. And I'm going to figure out what's right. So that was some of the energy. And then he offered me something really special, which was, I'll be a witness in your journey. And I'll help you as you move through whatever is going with you. He liked to say that manifesting generators, he calls us a menace. He's like, you're a menace. Yeah, Valerie's like, what?
I know, right?
And he's like, because you just create messes everywhere and then we have to deal with you. And I was laughing. I was like, okay, like not. And remember, I had Jacqueline, who's super compassionate. So it was like this like massive opposite experience. And for me, I was like, okay, this is what Jacqueline was talking about like the old white dude that's going to tell you that you're like blah 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 blah. And I was like,
you're
okay,
a menace,
right?
Cranky
so,
grandpa coming in and calling you a menace.
And I feel like I can say all this now because we love each other, and he loves me. Like we're great.
He's such a trickster. He has like such trickster energy, like in a good way. Yeah.
And he just, but I also just felt like he was poking. Like he was poking. And poking with purpose. Like sometimes, my channel comes out, and because I used to worry. Heard that? I almost said worry, but because I care. But because honestly, I used to worry about people's nervous systems. I spent all this time figuring out how to be trauma informed. And so now I'll be like, oh, so something's coming out of my channel. Is it okay if I say it? Okay, you're a menace. That's what will happen. Because the channel comes the way the channel is meant to come. And I firmly believe
4323. Is that what, yeah,
that,
which is he has that as well.
Yes,
That's
he's in your deck with that, right?
Yes, he's the 4323. And that is and my husband has the 4323. So I know that channel, and it needs to be invited to share those divine insights that drop in. But if somebody's not ready to receive, it sounds like you're a menace.
Well, it was, and sometimes it's meant to sound like that so that the person can have the appropriate action to go where they need to go. So yeah, I think for me, I was like, okay, I got these things, but I also got a really amazing reading in a very short time period. It wasn't like a freaking hour and all sorts of details. And I was like, this efficiency is very exciting. And I am like, I now believe this tool is exceptional for business coaching. I was still so focused. But 2.6 is fixation. So I'm like, it was in alignment. I was so focused. I was like, this is great for business coaching. I'm going to change people's lives. They're going to make so much fucking money. As soon as I learn this at depth, I'll be like unstoppable. And then I'm going to explain to people how to like structure websites so they can like talk to every single consumer and dot. Like I was going nuts. Like I'm like, we're going to go fucking crazy with this. And now like I spent a lot of time being like, the first shaman I did ayahuasca with, it was like, don't let Elisa sell Shebala. Like, don't do it. Like,
Mm.
do not be evil. Use your power for good. Like fine,
Don't, yeah. Don't become
fine,
Darth Vader.
fine. I'm like, okay. But yeah, but at that time, I was like, this shit's gonna be amazing. But I was also thinking of like 4 small business owners who want to feed their families. So um
Mothers
like
will take over the world.
yes, literally,
Yeah.
like literally, like I'm like, yeah, like stay at home mom kingdom, like yeah. Anyway, I was feeling that way. And then and then Shaitan's like, so you should hire me, and the cost is $26,000. And at that time, I was like I said, I was in my menace. So at that point in time, I thought so as part of the process of like moving through my journey with Yvonne, I got to witness her medicine woman, and she helped me clear up everything in my house so that I
Mm.
could make money again. But through that process first, before letting Yvonne walk me through a cleanse with the Bible, I bought all these crystals and tried to feng shui my house. And then I did all these different things. And so by the time it was clear, it was like, my sacral says I'm starting a crystal company.
Mm.
Well, and I think that was like a 99% yes. And fast forward, I'm going to start a crystal company in like a couple weeks from now, like on January 19th. However, we're talking about 2020. So that was like it's like how many? No,
6
no,
years.
2020. Yeah, 6 years later. So I just, I knew, but I also like got a car, went to Tucson, bought $20,000 in crystals. Like, so it was like this massive misfiring of all these 99% yeses.
Mm.
And me just like being like, okay, now I'm going to train in sound healing. And oh, I got to buy all my sound healing equipment. Okay. And like Mallory has been to my house.
There is a closet of crystals upstairs. And then there's a music room that's full of like plants and musical instruments. And it's
Yeah,
amazing.
there's plants because
That
there's a garden.
doesn't.
Because I was going to grow all my herbs, which I'm going to use for the remedies.
You know what I'm thinking though, as another sacral being, because you're talking about there was 99% and it's still coming, but the timing is off. It's like when they say, it's either
Yes.
100% sacral yes, or it's a no for now.
Mm.
Like
Mhm.
it's still coming.
Yeah.
If it was a 99% maybe, but it's not coming right now.
And what's great is now everything's prepared. So I'm fine. But the good thing is when Chayton was like, okay, and now pay this X percent, like this $26,000 to work with me. I was like, nah, you're gonna have to wait. My sacral doesn't say yes yet. Mainly because I had already spent all that money on other things. I
You're like,
didn't
I
have
have a
the money
closet of $20,000 of crystals.
And I was like, and he's like, it's a yes. And I'm like, mm-hmm. I was like, I don't have the money yet. And he's like, you'll have the money once you like commit to it. And I was like, use that the money channel. So I'm gonna go make some money and then I'll come back, right? Ladies, I did not make money. I spent more money doing more, trying different things. Like it just anyway. And eventually I paid him. At the time that I paid him, I had just lined up a lot of different previews, and that was, I think, finally like a sacral yes. But it wasn't a yes because I had procured the resources or anything like that. It was just like a yes.
Mm-hmm.
And he was right. I said yes, and then I got a $30,000 client on the back end.
Yep.
Look at
That
Mallory.
well, and that's the thing. I always say, and I've experienced it. That's why I say is like if the energy is aligned, if your sacral is saying yes, if your emotional wave has settled on yes, and you then go, but I don't have the money, I don't have the resources, that's not your truth. Because all of that other stuff is energy. And you have to trust that when your body is saying that full 100% yes, that the energy is going to keep flowing with you because the money is going to line up. I did that. That's how I got to Austin to meet Shaitan and meet you. I did not have the money to go make that trip. I did not have the essentially $5,000 that trip cost at that time, because I found out 3 weeks before that it was happening. I jumped on that trip it might have even been 2 weeks, because I remember talking to Carola's daughter, who is their assistant, and she was like, I need to know if you're coming tomorrow in 24 hours because I have to close out the amount of attendees.
I'm sorry. Carola's daughter is their assistant? Jody?
Jody.
Is Carola's daughter?
Yes.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty positive.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that. Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. I taught you something.
Oh yeah.
And I hope that's true. I'm pretty sure that's true.
It doesn't matter. Let's make it like it's okay, but it's cool.
Well, the crazy thing, so that's the thing. It's like I didn't have the money, and I could have gotten into, oh, I can't go do this because I don't have the resources. But instead, I was like, my emotional wave, which I wrote out for a week, which is why I found out 3 weeks before. I committed 2 weeks before. And it was because my wave settled, and I was like, this is still a yes. And even though this is not here, I'm going to just say yes and trust that my energy is going to keep flowing. And of course, I booked it. I booked everything. And then by the end of that week, I had already gotten a new client, and another thing came in, and the money was already there. Because that's the way it works. Sometimes not that fast.
I love that. And sometimes not that fast. And I love that you went there, because that's where I was going with it. And let's get back to menace energy, because I don't think he says this anymore because I called him on it. Right. I think this is probably the last time I'm going to say it, because I'm clearing it. But it's wild to hear. So that word menace, I looked it up, and it's a threat or danger. It's a person or thing that is likely to cause harm or danger. I felt like a menace in my marriage because with my 3, it's trial and error. So I kept trying these things and feeling like these things were 100% yeses. And the reality is every single thing I tried, I use right now. Yes. And I use it with fucking finesse and depth, because I committed to all these different programs, and I would find the best programs and learn from these amazing people. But it's like I needed to get the crystals and learn healing and learn breath work and go deep in human design and go and learn inherited family trauma and get the expensive reading and go blow out my brains on ayahuasca and deal with the effects of that. And all of these things got to happen, but I felt bad about it because my husband's sense of safety was money and finances, rooted in a deep, deep memory from his childhood that he literally just found out 5 days ago in Vipassana. And I could feel the impact of that. What's interesting is I think that me being in that is what eventually kind of led him to go on his own journey and sort it out. But feeling my choices impacting and moving people through their money journeys and their intimacy journeys really made me feel like a threat. And it kept coming up over and over and over again. And at the core of that is actually that 59 gate, I believe, in some of the vibrations of that and the penetration and the intimacy and how that makes other people feel. And then my openness and me feeling how they feel and their kind of reactions to that. But the trigger was rooted in abuse that happened to me when I was really young, and someone saying that it was my fault. And so I didn't even know about any of that. All that came through later, through my own journey and through the healing work that I did, and through all of these modalities to eventually connect all the dots, right? But going through it, like I legitimately felt like a menace to my family and to my loved ones and to everybody who didn't want to change.
Speaking of connecting all the dots, I feel like you're perfectly segueing into the sort of third stage of these like rebirth journeys that you've had, right? Because we talked about your business rebirth journey and the leaps you made there. We talked about the personal leaps and kind of like leaping into these woo-woo spaces, these spiritual spaces, becoming the medicine woman. Do we want to get into the love journey? Because I feel like we're already kind of starting to walk down that path a little bit with what we were just saying.
Yeah, so the love journey has like a really yummy conclusion and probably next starting point, because I really do believe that when we have babies, human babies, not all the animal babies we have, that will be our next kind of segue. But I'll start this by saying I was like married to Kevin, and I've been married to Kevin for 13, 14 years. But when I was married to him, I was Melissa, aspiring CMO, and very much on the path to that. He had a very, I don't know what he was thinking. Like he literally said that he's excited to marry me because he doesn't know where his life is going to go. Like he comes from a culture where they arrange marriages. And he was getting to an age where they wanted to arrange his marriage, and he met me like on his birthday. And then we got engaged. Like we were like properly engaged within 4 months and married within a year.
Wow.
Yeah, he followed that sacral yes so hard. And I was just like, okay. That was really funny. We literally got to this place where I was like, it's cool that we're engaged, but I'm not moving for another fiance. So like to kind of take it full circle, I was like, I've done this before and I am not going to get on a plane. He was ready to leave New York. There's a lot going on. And I'm like, I'm not getting on a plane, moving to LA, not being married again, not having insurance. Like I'm just not like this risk. 28 is one of my things, adventurism, risk, and being prepared. I was like, I will not take this risk unprepared again and have to deal with all of that. And so I was like, so if we're doing this thing, like we need to go sign those papers and get married. And then my mom's like, you can't just sign papers. Like you need to actually do like a wedding. And we had already been planning to run a family marathon. So literally like he decided, it's like, we should get married now. And I was in Vegas, doing events, like doing work. And I literally like went from him saying that to me feeling like, okay, to then running and buying a ring from Tiffany in Las Vegas, almost missing my flight, buying Wi-Fi on the plane, ordering 2 dresses for my wedding on Amazon. They had like some kind of an Amazon fancy, like I can't remember what the name was, but like they had
I remember.
It's now turned into their bigger brand, but it was something different. And I bought it on there, then like landed, tried on the dress, jumped to Miami the next day, made my bouquet in my Publix in my local supermarket from like, I was like, the florist knows me from when I was a kid, and like bought some blue nail polish. And then the next day we were at the
Wow.
at the thing getting married. My dad took one photo on his phone, and then we all went up to where is it? We all went up to Disney, and I ran a half marathon with part of my family, and then a full marathon with the rest of my family. I was doing the Goofy Challenge, and 26 miles, and I ran it on a torn hip labrum, not knowing at the time. And then we were married. Pretty wild, huh?
How old were you, Shebala, at this time?
I don't know. 28-ish. I don't know. I think it was like Saturn return-ish time.
I was gonna say, were you in your Saturn return? That's like a big leap.
Yeah.
My Saturn return, that's when I blew up my life and moved and went back to grad school. I
Yeah,
moved
I
to
was.
Rome for a year.
That was, yeah, like right around Saturn
Saturn
return.
return is like, yeah, Saturn return is like, would you like to reimagine your life? No?
Yeah.
Oh,
So it
you're
was
gonna do
just
it
like the
anyway.
whole, I think my Saturn return was actually right after that when we actually made the transition out of New York and in, no, yes, it was then. Yes. Same, out of New York into LA.
Wow, I love it.
That was, you're right. That was like, that was right around
Saturn
that.
return was like, hey, guess what?
That was right around that time. And then, yeah, but that's what it's like. Also, when Kevin's sacral yes is on, it's his sacral yes, but I think it's also his 57, that 34 57, and it connects everything up together. When Kevin wants to go, the speed, it's like he gets the splenic hit and then it's like blah, like explode. So that is kind of like my partner. And then at the beginning of our marriage, she was very jealous. I mean, understandably so, because of like all of my crazy stories. And he barely knew me. I mean, honestly, like we'd been together for such a short period of time. And I bring this up because my love journey, I kept repeating a pattern, many patterns, but one very interesting and specific pattern that would keep bringing me back to Mexico. So first I went with that client. And so that was my first trip. Actually, first I went with Kevin. And we were diving and like exploring a whole thing. Then I went with the client. But so the first, and it was this really interesting thing where I was simultaneously going on my love journey while simultaneously planning a retreat. But for 5 years. So like I went on that journey with Yvonne and was like, ooh, we should do more of these. We're going to video this. This could be a retreat later. Like that was already there. Then I'm in my marriage journey and we've been together for like a decade. I'm feeling like I'm a menace. I'm going through like all this business stuff. And I meet, trying to figure out the order because I'm looking at all the journeys. Which one happened first? So I end up going with a friend to Mexico. And so this is, again, I'm planning a retreat, but at this time I wanted to plan a dance retreat. So Kevin had come with me to Jamaica, and basically danced for like month. Like he went through like a whole dance experience, and Kevin and I met in a dance studio, but this was dance hall. And so he really came for me. And so I went on that experience with him. And the following year, I went with a friend who was also one of my contractors, and we were there. And then that was almost like a brother for me, like a true, like I really felt like he was my brother. And he ended up living with us for a period of time. And like he was on a vegan food journey. We would make sure he had food. He's almost like a brother, but we also like took care of him too. And it was an exchange. He was giving me dance classes and helping me release the bracing from my body. And somehow we end up going to Jamaica to do a dance camp and again to plan a retreat. And while we're in Jamaica, he has his spiritual moment. And give me 1 second. Mom?
I was like,
Did y'all hear it?
Oh, I did. I was like, where's that coming from?
It's Mom. And so we go and we're there and we're in Jamaica. And it starts getting interesting. So we cross over Saint no, Saint Anne. So we get into Saint Anne. I don't know this, and I just start crying. And so this friend, I'm teaching him human design. He was always like way more spiritual than me, like a long time ago. And so I'm like teaching him human design. He's teaching me dance. Like he's basically like my best friend, my brother. We're having this like spiritual awakening experience. Though like I still was not Shebala then. So I don't know that I would have been like calling it that or feeling that. And so we're like having this whole thing, and he is in the bus with me, and I'm like crying. And I was like, I don't know what I'm feeling, but I'm just bawling. And I asked the man, like, where are we passing by? And he tells me we're passing by St. Anne, Jamaica. And there's a part of the story that's missing, which is that when I went to Mexico with Yvonne, I had my first spiritual awakening moment. And that was me seeing my great great grandmother in a sound healing and her delivering me some really intense messages. And what she said to me, and it's funny, I think that's why mom came, was to remind me of this, was do not trust your mother, and things are going to happen. And when these things happen, you are going to meet her with compassion, take care of her, and everything's going to come through. And I actually called my mom, called my grandmother, and I was like, I'm going crazy. I think I'm losing my mind. I hear like, bipolar runs in our family. Are we okay? That was literally what I was thinking. And they're like, who'd you see? And I was like, I saw Caroline. And they're like, oh, okay, what'd she say? I was sitting here like, what do you mean? Like, what did she say? I'm telling you, like, what'd she say? I was like, she said this. And my mom was like, oh, she said that. She said, don't, okay, listen to her. And at that time, my mom was like my best friend. So like all of that was, and I was just like, I was literally like, is mom hearing me? Like she's telling me, she's like, you should listen to Caroline. So then I go and I end up talking to my grandmother, my real living grandmother. And she's like, oh yes, Susan and Caroline come. Like Susan is my great grandma. Caroline's my great great grandma. And she's like, yeah, Susan, my mom, someone's like, Susan's in the house in Jamaica. And they're like, just listen. And my grandma said, it's probably time for you to just consider, like, she's like, read your Bible, maybe come to the church. It's like, what? And she's like, yeah, there's this thing in our family. She's like, and there's been multiple moments where she's like, people come, they talk to us. Apparently we had like a blind, I think it was a blind, I'm not sure if he was blind and deaf or blind and mute, but he's also paraplegic uncle. And she's like, people would be in there sitting talking to him for hours. And so she's like, so there have been one emotional, it's like, and so at this, and I'm like, so at this point, people hadn't started coming to me, but that's actually what happened in Jamaica. So I had this vision, and then shortly thereafter, everything fell apart. And my mom hadn't told me all the details of what was going on in her life and in the moment. And then my mom borrowed money from me, her words, not mine, and did not tell me about it. And I found out when I looked back at my credit card statements and found out that like I had all this money that I was going to get. My emotional support kitty's like, it's time. This is y'all know Leo. Yeah, could you feel mommy talking about deep stuff? Yeah, you could feel mommy talking about deep stuff. Okay. Are y'all hearing noise in the background? You know,
Well, I can hear Leo purring now.
That's, yeah, I was gonna say purring is about
'cause
all.
Leo just opened the door on his own as he tends to do. He's like, I need to come. And so I've never told this story before in depth. But yeah, my mother, my absolute best friend in my life, um, as she said, prioritized her survival and wasn't in a moment where she felt like she could trust me to have certain conversations. She borrowed some funds. There were credit cards that were sent to the house. She used them. And her intention was to pay them back off. But then she got COVID. She got very sick. And that didn't happen. And then we didn't talk about it, but I said that I had that $40,000 week. And then I was hiring. I had hired 6 people. And I was ready to launch. And that's when I found out about everything.
Mm.
And so my entire business at that point ended up falling apart. I don't think it had to, but the emotional shock of it all was too much. I did not and had not at that time developed the emotional resilience. And I'm laughing because the cat is back there pulling crystals, but I'll look at your crystals later, baby. Like he went and pulled a crystal, and I'm like, I'm sure there's a crystal for me. I'll go back and get it. I know. Can you go up? But yeah, so I didn't have the emotional resilience at that time. I'm like, I'd bet money I'd go back, look at the crystal, and it'd be like a crystal for emotional resilience at that time. And so that was like one thing in a series of things. It was like COVID, and then the dance business collapsing, and then I actually got the COVID vaccine and had a bad reaction to it. Like all these, like boom, like hit after hit after hit after hit. And that took me out. And then give me 1 second. Just let me.
Well, cats pull crystals, y'all. We're still live. I think it's funny.
Shebala's cats pull crystals.
Yeah, well, in Leo, so the one that just came on screen, Leo specifically, he is known to pull crystals. And sometimes I know that when Shebala does certain, client readings, that might happen. So FYI, in case you're ever in a one-on-one session with Shebala, you might get lucky and have Leo the cat pull a crystal for you.
It's not on their website, but it's the bonus
Yeah.
service, the cat pulling the crystal.
Yeah, if the universe wants it, if the universe wants you to have a cat pulled crystal, it just might happen.
Should I add cat pulled crystals? Would you
Yeah.
work for Leo?
Leo's like, what will you pay me in?
Tuna treat.
I was like, he likes the tuna retreats. So hopefully he'll stop. I might actually put him outside, but for now I'm going to leave the baby in there. But I do have a crystal, and it was this one. So garnierite, which I love. This is a really, and so if you're on the recording, we're looking at this beautiful crystal with this gorgeous flash, and it's garnierite. And the first time I read about this crystal, it's a crystal for endurance and resilience. And the first time I read about it, it was this story of a tree and how the wind was ultimately necessary to build up the branch of the wind. Then the tree wouldn't have what it needed. And then the other one that came out, I would have to look up, but it's like Afghanite is what it's called. But the part, I know the name, but that blue piece of it is lapis, like within it. This is what the stone looks like. It's really cool. So it has chunks of lapis, and it's a stone for like spiritual expansion. And the lapis integrity is what I'm feeling. And so, what this kitty is saying to me now is that I'm moving through a moment of growth where I get to be in integrity with myself and develop another level of resilience. And so, thank you, baby. We'll see. He
On this
might.
Cancer full moon in
Um,
Capricorn.
he
Thank you,
might be
Neil.
like, I want my tuna. We'll see. But yeah, and so I was sharing that moment, and that happened with mom. And that I'm happy we got there, because if I didn't have that moment, I don't know that I would trust my messages and my intuition. First time I'm saying that one. Like, because my brain was like, I can't trust this. And frankly, even when my family told me like, hey, this happens in our family, we receive messages, things like that, I also was like, maybe they're just saying that. Like, maybe I really am having a mental breakdown or something. Like, I was like, you weren't there. You didn't see what I saw. How do you know? I'm not crazy. Like, I literally, and so for me, when everything went down, I was like, OMG, she was right. Caroline was right. That message was for me. And because she did, I followed guidance after that. And I followed my sacral after that. I took care of my mom. I took her to Mexico. Actually, I didn't have money. I went on this trip to Mexico. Not Mexico. I eventually took her to Mexico, but I went to Hawaii with her. Actually, like literally soon after. So literally, like the money's gone. My company blows up. I tell everyone I can't like pay them anymore, so we're not going to do the thing. Thankfully, we just started. And then I'm like, I'm running out of money. And then I was like, okay, I should take mom to Hawaii. And so it was really weird, but I was like, they told me to take care of her. And I was like, she needs a reset desperately. And I don't know who this woman is. This is not the person that I had growing up. And we had a deep conversation about this yesterday, just in preparation of the fact that this might come up. And she told me, I want you to be 1000% honest, because there's no desire in me to ever be a barrier to your success. And when I talked about her choosing her survival, her words, not mine, she said, I've lost myself. She said a lot of things, but I was like, do y'all remember what I said right before this about mom, or like right before?
Oh, well, oh gosh. You said something about mothers and honesty. Am I correct, or am I imagining that?
I did. I was saying that I've totally lost myself, and it's funny because it's something's actually coming in, and what I'm getting is that I'm getting this feeling that there are people who are going to be watching this, who are moving through things with their family and their loved ones and their friends, and it's critical to know that when things are happening in the moment, we feel like we've lost someone. But in truth, we've often gained perspective to a side of themselves that they were too scared to show anyone, and that they may still be struggling to speak on, because that side of them has never been valued or accepted. And with mothers, we often want to keep our mom in this pristine situation because mom is home and mom is resource, but that does not allow mom to be human. And if we don't transition to a place where mom is human, she cannot release that identity and fully step into her power. And for me and for her, this was critical because it's allowing her the space, whether she feels that way or not, because this is my opinion. To be clear, this is very much my opinion, to fully step into her power because she can release the part of her that needed to be human or needed to not share her own journey. And for me, and this is what I was saying, it was critical for me to have that happen because that is what really led to me trusting my guidance, but then also trusting my journey because the guidance said, take care of mom. I was like, cool, we'll take care of her. The way I take care is like, I travel. That's always been my reset from the beginning, as we know. And so I was like, let's travel. The other thing is, the reason I was building all this business and stuff like that and losing, frankly, focus and not as connected to my family, not realizing they were struggling. Some of that is they weren't telling me. Some of that is I thought I was helping enough. I was already helping, actually. I was already paying rent. And some of that's like I wasn't really present, but I wasn't present because I was working so that I could eventually help them. And help is a strong word, but what I really want to do is take my mom on a vacation. And so I literally was like, okay, great. Now we have let this company like go. We've let people go. They weren't full-time employees, thankfully, just part-time. And I was like, I basically have no money. I was down to my last $10,000. So 40,000 but now I also have all this debt. So I was like, I got $10,000. I had like 30K in debt. I had no more business anymore. And I have one piece of guidance that my dead ancestor, this is how I felt back then, literally came back from the dead to tell me, which was take care of her. I'm going to listen, partly because I was terrified of what might happen if I didn't listen. And then my sacral was like, take her to Hawaii. And again, I have now this husband who's like, okay, great. So now your sacral, air quotes, has told you to buy a shit ton of crystals, to fill the house with instruments. So like, he's like, your sacral has told you, your sacral keeps telling you to spend money.
Your sacral's expensive.
He's like, your sacral is a 6-figure arrangement at this point. And now when everything is crashing, you're like, I need to take my mom to Hawaii. It gets a little crazier. Mom didn't have a COVID vaccine. Thank God, because the COVID vaccine almost killed me. She was like, you shouldn't take that. It's not for us. And I didn't listen to her and actually had recurrent pericarditis. And that was another lesson that my sacral knows. So I'm like, okay, she doesn't have a vaccine. We're trying to go to Hawaii. There were all these rules back then. So it basically forced us to stay in like ultra luxury resorts. So like the first place we stayed, there's only 6 people. So I'm like, okay, there's no way for her to get sick. Then the second place was Ritz-Carlton because they didn't have rules like everyone else did. So we literally end up doing the most expensive last minute trip. Also, like I went there and everything I booked except for the first hotel was booked on Hotels Tonight. So I like randomly like be like, okay, oh, it's the Ritz-Carlton. Okay, call it. Can you do like no? Okay, cool. So we literally like even when I booked the ticket. My sacral was to go to Hawaii. Obviously, I booked to Honolulu because where else would you go? That is not the place to go to Hawaii. So then I talked to someone. I was like, oh, my sacral doesn't feel like I should be going to Honolulu. I changed my tickets on Southwest. And then we're like, okay, now we're going to Maui and Kauai, like, and Big Island. And I was like, no, first it was Big Island. Then mom's like, I want an island hop. So there's like adding things. And like the whole shit was crazy. And on the last day of the trip, I got a $30,000 client.
Mm.
Kevin's flipping out because he's just seeing bills, 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 bills. Last day, $30,000 client, paid that off. Paid off rest of credit cards.
Mm-hmm. Because you trusted.
And then to fast forward, because I had to tell that story to tell this story, now we're back. So then after all that happened with mom, took care of mom left. Now we're doing the business thing again. So we're back in Mexico. We're with that friend, or sorry, we're in Jamaica. We're with that friend. We're traveling. I'm crying. I'm feeling all sorts of things. And they say, we're passing by Claremont. And that is where Caroline, who gave you the message, lived.
Wow.
And and up until that point, I believe there were no roads. We're like, Grandma, I want to go back to Jamaica. She's like, they don't have any roads. You can't go there. Like, you can't go to where your family is. So I had tried for multiple years to go see my family in Jamaica because I'd done retreats there. I tried to be in Jamaica and just be connected. And yeah, then I was like, oh my God, there's a road. I can go back. And I didn't go back that trip. I did eventually go back. But what ends up happening is we get to where we're going in Jamaica and people start getting attracted to me. And like, there's this woman and she's like, I saw you dancing and decided to apply here for a job. And now I have a job and I want to do your hair. Cause I had just started my dreads at that time. And I was like, it's getting interesting. And then a couple men were coming to me and they're like, I need help. And then I was like, this is getting, I don't know, it's a lot. And then I get my friend and I, we end up being forced to share the same room because like there was an issue with the rooming thing. And I start getting visions of his past and all this stuff. Mind you, at this point, I'm like not trained in anything, still not woo-woo. Everything I'm doing at this point is very like, I will like calculated, like I'm going to learn sound healing to support calming my clients. I'm going to learn like everything's still very logical to me. And the short version of this story is he becomes my healer initiation. So I get this feeling in my gut and it's like, you got to get out of the room. And talk about trusting my gut at that point, because I was like, I gotta get out of the room. This is my best friend, brother. Like, we're on this trip, and I'm just like, you gotta get out of here. And I grab my there's something in this story. I grab my what is it? My suitcase. I pack my suitcase, grab my suitcase, leave, tell him I'm leaving. I don't know where I'm leaving to. This is like a walled off place in Jamaica. You can't just like go down the street and get another hotel. And I go out and I see a guy and he's like one of the people who I know works there. And I'm like, I had to leave the room. Like, do you have another room? And he's like, my brother owns the penthouse. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, oh, this is not like a hotel. It's different Airbnbs. Like there's a renovated penthouse. And that was wild to me, by the way, because it was like we were in a crap room and it's like this renovated penthouse and it's gorgeous and it's decorated. And there's all these pictures that felt like things from my ancestors. And I'm like, okay. So I'm like coming into this penthouse. My friend calls me and he's not okay. And he's like, not okay. You need to come back. And I'm just sitting here like, what is going on? And I had trained in sound healing and breathwork this time. So I went with my sound bowl. And I'm like, okay, I'll come. And when I get there, he is speaking to himself in two voices. And I won't tell the depth of the story because we don't talk much anymore. But I haven't mentioned his name for a reason, but he's talking in two voices. And I put my hand on him and I'm thinking, I'm just going to do sound healing. And instead I absorbed all of his pain. I felt all the stories. I'm there screaming, freaking out. I mean, let me be clear. I was calm actually. So not freaking out weirdly, but I was screaming. But it was like, I need to release this. And actually some of the things Yvonne told me all started chipping in. And I'm like, it's energy, you need to release it. So I felt like a crazy person because on the outside looking in, it was me like, ah, like literally purging, opening the room. But he was fine. Like he's like now fine dancing. And then he looks at me and I felt like his energy switched and his eyes switched. And I was like, oh my gosh, there's more here. And this is the work I have hesitated to talk about, not because there's anything, I just had never talked about it because I didn't want to advertise it. But I have a gift for attracting people who have wells of stored energy and frustration, often anger with manifestors that it's time to release. And both of y'all know that intimately in different ways. And I did not know that. This is the first time it ever happened consciously, because it's happened before in corporate and it was happening. And that's what was happening that was creating all of my departures in corporate. So while I'm like connecting the dots, like I remember when my manager started like flipping out, screaming at me and releasing all of this stuff and saying that we're not fully about me. Like I had one manager, her Miss B, we'll call her, and at in Hewlett Packard, she just went off and she's like screaming and telling me like, if you care about customers so much, then you shouldn't be in this industry and da da da. And she's like speaking all of her frustrations about trying to care more about customers and that not being appreciated and all this stuff. And she's going off and she's crying. And then I went and worked at P&G because she's like, you should work at a company like that. And I was like, okay. And then I got a call and I had a job at P&G and I left. But I cleared that, right? Like she was going, I had another one at P&G. Then the director, she went off. I worked all night on something that she asked me to do. And then she went off. That one I don't remember because I was like, not in I wasn't ready for it. But she was screaming top of her lungs about a document, like an Excel doc, like literally a document. And she's like going off. And I was like, this is nuts. And thank you, because I've never actually connected that dot that because those were like what someone else would call violent, but those were like the deep anger releases that were happening around me. Versus I had other people who were releasing shame and other things. Like I had people who would tell me all of their like deep, deep secrets. And it was like that type of stuff. And then they would be terrified because now I knew these things. And so as I was like moving through these experiences, I didn't realize that I was connecting with and helping people release energetic entities, either like true like entities they've created or just wells and masses of stored energy over time, typically because they're not wanting to face the reality of something. And so that was my first time ever doing it unintentionally. I had no clarity on what I was doing. I wasn't intending on doing it. I had zero protection. And I got so sick. I didn't even want him to see. So he was feeling great. I went back to my room. We were like, that was crazy. Because I lit a fire thing and like the lighter exploded. It was very dramatic. And I was so tired after that. I was literally crawling up my toilet. That's how sick I got. And so then I call Yvonne. And I just love how this is someone that I judged at the beginning of my journey who became key and critical in so many relevant parts of it. And I'm like, Yvonne, what do I do? And she's like, Yvonne's hilarious. She's spicy. But she's like, it sounds like she's like, it sounds like you did it wrong. And I was like, oh, and she's like, you gave all your, and I was like, God damn it. So I called the shaman the shaman that we're gonna go see in Mexico in February. And she's like, it's you're a healer. And oh, Yvonne said, you're a healer. Congratulations. I was like, okay. I was like, it sounds like it's your initiation. And I'm like, okay. So Mari Carmen is like, look, you're not supposed to do it like that. And I'm like, what are y'all even talking about? To be honestly, like when I did the breath work, I put my hand here and I just genuinely wanted to like move his pain. So literally she's like, you need to like, you've given away all your energy. And the thing that I could connect it back time is like, I was like, so all this, like all these Kung Fu movies are real. Like, it's like when you see the Kung Fu master and like all their life force energy is gone, or they like, I was like, okay. And she's like, I don't know how to fix you, but if you can get to Mexico, I might be able to help you. So here's where it gets really cool. I've been in that beautiful penthouse now, and it had a rooftop. And one of the things that I had been learning was Qigong, and it was open air. And I was like, oh my God, I know a method to restore your energy. And so for 3 days, I worked with the elements. I did Qigong. I restored my energy. And then I asked my friend, I was like, you want to go to Tulum with me? Partly because I was afraid too, that like I did things wrong. And I wanted to make sure that they could take care of him. So I brought him, and that was our second retreat, going through the same things that we did with Yvonne, but like at more depth, more focused on deeper healing work. Beautiful journey. He saw his mom. There was like a massive healing. We thought we were going to do like a Jamaica retreat together, and he had a different journey, went on a different path. And I also believe my work was done as a medicine woman. But at this time, I literally still, despite everything I tell you, had never connected the dots of you're a medicine woman now. Or like, these things are going to keep happening to you. And these things have always happened for you. Like none of that was lining up, by the way. I was just like, oh, my friend, he had a moment. Oh, we got through that. Weird. Oh, I guess I have some stuff now. I should figure it out. But coming back to the menace thing, I was actually afraid because there was some fear, especially culturally. There's fear like, oh my God, is it voodoo? Is it this? Is it this? And so that is where I went deeper into my journey. But what's cool, at this time, like I still wasn't into like seeking mentality. And I really think that saved me, because I think I would have gone through all of these different paths. But eventually Qigong came. And through Qigong, I learned Qigong healing. And then Qigong healing has a technique called catch and release. And I was like, oh my God, I did that. And so I eventually went enough and deep into my journey where I could validate that everything I did on my own via my intuition was the exact methods that were taught to me. And the only thing I didn't know how to do at that time was to not absorb energy, because still then I didn't understand this is mine, this is yours. And I didn't understand how my clairsentience or my open solar plexus worked. So I go to Mexico, and the shamans like clear me. They rub the egg on me, they crack it, and they're like, what the fuck did you do? They were like, how? Like, how?
Like, how much muck was that egg?
They were like, how? Like, how? And they're showing the egg to each other, and like,
Yeah.
and she says to me, stop doing things you don't want to do.
Mm.
And that was really intense, because the first time I ever really felt like I was doing what I wanted to do was actually when I said yes to the corporate job the first time with the funky lady. And I was like, I'm going to show up as me. And I got like a bright orange car and all this stuff. And like, it didn't work out. Right. Like, it was kind of like I said yes to something that wasn't a sacral yes, but then decided to choose to be me in full authenticity, and it blew the fuck up. And so when she's like, don't say yes, I was like, I've literally been like saying yes to what I want to do. Like this whole human design thing is that, like, what are you talking about? And I'm smiling. I'm just watching you watch me talk. I end up going home, losing my phone. Not having my phone really forced me into presence. And I'm there and I get in and Kevin's like, okay. Like it's the morning. Kevin's like, okay, we need you to do this. We need you to do that. My mom's like, we need you to do this. We need you to do that. I'm on the toilet and I'm like, this is what I don't want to do. And up until that moment, I had completely defined myself as someone who was doing things in alignment and with and for family. So it was like really hard to just like to see that. But that was kind of the next stage of my journey, figuring out like what was really me and what was like conditioned.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the middle of that, I meet this friend. So I take the first friend to a breathwork experience, meet another friend. Anywho, so I decide to go to Mexico with this friend. And this was the moment where I would say I really feel like my husband shined like on another level because when I met this friend, he lit up my entire core.
Mm.
Like all the tingles, everything. And gate 59 is a really special one. I haven't figured out if it's 59 or 55, but I have both. And there are tingles that I can feel, that other people can feel. And I really think it's 59 gate of penetration. I think when someone really lets you in and is receiving the medicine of that, sometimes their entire body tingles. And so I was receiving that and giving that and in my full flow. And I was like, I don't know what it is about this man, but I love this man. And I even told it, I was like, I didn't know he had a girlfriend at the time of meeting him, found out quite late in our friendship. And when I said, I was like, I love your boyfriend. Like, I'm like, just to be real clear, I am married. There is no sexy stuff. There's no, we're not doing any of that stuff. And also,
Mm-hmm.
and this was fun and important because later I would realize I share like many past memories with this person. If you believe in past lives. If you believe in stored genetic memories, like I have these memories. Funny, if you're watching this, I've seen them. We've never had a conversation, so that'll be really interesting. But I ended up doing a past like regression, and this was like that trip was the trip where Shebala was born. So I went to Mexico with him. And then his CEO got the schedule, came on the plane, and like crashed the trip. And then the COO of that company came. And then his girlfriend came. And then me, I didn't know how to say no. But it didn't feel like my place, right? It really wasn't my place. But I didn't really understand. So like I'm now just serving and like giving and doing human design readings for everyone and like managing all that. And the irony of all of this was supposed to be my own trip. Like it wasn't our trip. It was my healing journey that I'd planned because I'd made a rhythm of going back to Mexico. And he was joining in on it. And when I asked him his intentions, he wouldn't give them to me. He was just like, oh, I just want to flow. That was his intentions, just surrender to the experience, which was amazing. I still didn't fully know surrender at that time. I knew how to like plan for surrender, which is not surrender. And so all of these people are here and I'm like giving and giving and giving and giving. And he ends up, the friend ends up leaving. that he didn't have a conversation with me. Like he just left. And gate of retreat, by the way. So just like bounced and he left. He didn't finish his experience and he'd gone through the hard part. So the rest of his experience was all the calming part. That blew up because we had done like a private sound healing and the sound healer blew up on me. I was like upset. that same day, so Sal Hill blows up on me. He leaves. Before this all happens, 2 days before I meet a psychic that I didn't even believe in psychics at the time. It was like, you need to get away from this person because he's gonna kill you. Like, he's not gonna kill you, but he's literally gonna kill all your plans. Literally, like, you're gonna, like, everything's gonna get fucked up in your life. He's gonna hit every single trigger that you have in your core, and everything is just gonna fall apart. And that's actually what happened. It's kind of funny, but I still follow my sacral. And then I was in everybody's energy. And then his girlfriend was calling. Like, it was wild. And somehow I was just navigating that as if that were a normal experience. I've come to realize that everything is normal. So even though that was outrageous, and even though I don't know that I knew what self-love was for me at that time, and he certainly didn't know or couldn't express it, because if either of us did, all these people wouldn't have been there. So even though that all didn't pan out as planned, yeah, like, I still felt like I was in flow and still felt probably like my most powerful self, because he kept saying, just be yourself. So I kept being myself, and I kept giving, and those are all things. I kept being myself, and it was so powerful. It's so powerful to just, like, be me and full expression me and intense me and, like, fun me and, like, all this, and it was just going. And then when he left, it felt like, see, I can't be me and deal with that depth. But the fun part is I didn't get to think about that too much, because soon after, like, so the day he left, Tulum, sometimes the electricity cuts out, and at that time I wasn't staying on the beach, which is where I stay now. They have generators, so, like, the electricity cut out. I had a massage on the beach, and I was going back into the city, and I got taken for a ride by one of the taxi drivers, and I was terrified. And this voice came out of me that I had never heard before, and was like, "You're going to turn back," like Shebala firm voice. "You're going to turn back around this car," because he was taking me off into, like, the jungle, and he freaks out, turns back the car. Now I'm in the dark, and, like, I'm literally, like, talking to myself in two voices. And I missed a part of this, which is that Shebala had actually emerged before he left. I had a breathwork session, and I died in that session. And I saw lions eating me, and I received the name of Shebala, and it was like, on the floor, and, like, all of that had happened. I do not know how much. I don't know that I communicated it all to him, not at that depth, but all of that had happened, and that's when he was like, "Ouch!" Like, out. And I think it was really. I don't actually think it had anything to do with me. There was a lot more going on that I didn't know about, conversations that were had. And then just everyone being there, this was not what he had intended. But the lack of transparency, lack of honesty, lack of communication destroyed me. Same with my mom. Like, it was just the lack of transparency. It wasn't anything else. And so now I'm like, so then the taxi thing happens. Then, like, now I'm like, like, Shebala's ancestral voice is what I was calling it, is coming out. In 2 days. Now I'm like, I'm going crazy. I call back the psychic, Daniel, who we had a podcast with. And he's like, okay, you need to integrate. And so in that process, though, I was not integrating. I was writing poems. So 100 poems came out of me, all about, like, love and pain and racism and, like, all the things. So he literally, like, that experience with this man broke me wide open. And as part of that whole process, I sent all these messages to Kevin, and I was like, our marriage needs to change. I cannot feel this way with another stranger and not be feeling all of this and all of my everything with you. It was tough. Like, he dealt with like, there were the message that he received, and he was like, okay, I'm going to change that. He's like, you need to give me some time. Come home. And he's
Wow.
like, come home. I'm going to meet this new you. And I will address these things because I have plans. Because this is Kevin. He's like, I'm going to have babies with you. I have things I'm going to get. And he literally said, like, and I am so close. Like, he was like, hey, I'm so close. Like, well, kind of like, you have put me through so
I've
much.
invested. I've
And
been playing
I've
this slot
invested,
machine for
I
a
will
while.
get my ROI. Like, very opportunist of him. He was literally like, I heard
How
him.
very
Like,
Capricorn of him.
like, I'm so close. Like, no, like
Yes.
I'm getting these babies. Which is fun.
And
So we
also
started-
how much he loves you. Like, that he was not going to abandon you. He was going to choose
No.
into the rebirth with you.
And what's wild is like we then, we saw this friend in the future and
Mhm.
Kevin still talked to him and stuff. Like he also was like, Kevin's biggest issue is like anyone who doesn't keep me safe.
Mm.
It was
Mhm.
wild. So now we would think this would be the end of this Mexico cycle. So now, mind you, the other thing that was helpful was this person gave me a reflection that was massive. He was like, oh my God, you put so much work into this. And I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you've figured out like this whole plan in Mexico and like all these like, he's like, you've put so much. And I'm like, And now we're on the like third or fourth version, but like I'm not in that, but he made me realize what I had in Mexico.
Mm.
And what I had built and the connections I'd made and all these things. And so we go through this one more time, no, two more times, but one more big time. And so I end up with this best friend who's a reflector. And this is just the time that I thought the reflectors could do no harm. Because how I believed that like my energy would dominate or something. And I don't know what I was thinking, but let me be clear. This reflector, he put so much pressure on me because he had like so many gates in his pressure center. And I was always like moving in his, like, even though we would think it would be my energy, it was magic. It was like whatever he desired, he would be able to use all of my gifts to manifest. And I was just there feeling the pressure and helping him.
Mm.
It was pretty wild. And in such a short time, like we helped him, like he wanted to do music and he like wrote a track, cut it. I was in the studio virtually grounding him. He did an event. He like an event he tied in charity. It was for South by Southwest. He performed, like he learned how to do like the whole thing and then moved to Mexico. And I loved every moment with this dude. Like we were having so much fucking fun. And I was just like, this is great. And the plan was and then he's like, come to Mexico. And I was like, don't do this to me.
Mm.
Like if I come to Mexico again, I cannot. I was like, I know human design now. You got gate 33. And not to pick on gate 33, but I was like, if this is a moment for you to retreat or like I can't deal with the fallout of the things that I see in your chart because I've done it before. I do not want to do it again. It's like that's not going to happen. And I was like, okay, we're going to plan this effectively. I'm coming for 2 whole weeks. I'm going to like only plan to see you for like 2 days. Like, so you have all the space you need in this agenda. I'm going to invite Yvonne because at this point in time, Yvonne is now living and a resident of Mexico and living between Mexico and LA and doing her job. I was like, I'll invite Yvonne, The short version of a long story is I'm going to make this a bigger trip. I'm going to go and visit my sun placement in astrocartography. Then I'm going to come see you. Then I'm going to go to Tulum and invite clients to come with me. Then, we'll see. I might go do ayahuasca in Costa Rica. We'll see. Okay. So I plan this whole thing. 2 weeks in Puerto Escondido, which is not my city, y'all. There is an amazing hotel there, though. But other than that, amazing
Not for you.
hotels in the world called like something close to Forza, because there's a story Forza, S, like Forza, like how Italians cheer.
Forza, which
Forza,
strong.
yeah, but it's called Sforza with an S.
Mm.
And I know it because I went down there and he ghosted me. Like when I was in Mexico, he like ghosted me, did not show up. I said, look, what I said to him was, I don't know what's going to happen on this trip, but there's one thing I would love you to guarantee, that you will show up and pick me up at the airport because my flight arrives at 9 p.m. He did not show up. I was in Mexico. So lucky I met this model travel woman named Mandy, and we shared a taxi together. My hotel canceled because in Puerto Vallarta, if you don't ride before 5 p.m., people like leave. There's no concierge. And I was literally like on the street in Mexico with a bunch of fucking stray dogs. Like back then, I wasn't into dog energy. Now it would be fine, but I was terrified. And it was pitch black because there's no lights. And so I'm like pitch black, stray dogs, like alone. Did not contact me at all in the 2 weeks. Did not talk to me. And I had booked the like ayahuasca retreat. So spent like my money too. So like I was like, I've spent my money. This friend thing has fallen apart. And this is now because all of these friends, they fell apart because I was there to do my role as a medicine woman and leave. And then this one was weirder because he wanted to have me do some work with him. And we were like, it was more of a friend exchange because at that time I started studying things.
Mm-hmm.
And he met this shaman who told him that I was very powerful and who he was sleeping with at the time. And so there was funkiness there. And then he met my friend Daniel, and Daniel talked about me like an elephant in a room absorbing powers. and he was like scared. Like he got scared of me. That pain I could not handle. And what it was this loop. And it was like, we've done this before. Like, how many fucking times are you going to come to Mexico and end up with no friend in the end? What is wrong with you? Instead of understanding, and he's a reflector, so he told me some things, which was, I need to stop seeing you as a vehicle for growth. Ooh. Instead of understanding that for many of these people, I was a vehicle for growth in that moment on their journey.
Yes.
And yes, all the other feels were real, and we loved each other deeply, and they were like my brothers, my best friends. But also, I was there to be a medicine woman. I just didn't know it, because I hadn't accepted my calling. So it got so low that on that trip, I wanted to die. And let's talk about the angel that saved me again. Yvonne flew down there and hung out with me. And through her progress and seeing what she had done with her life, I knew that I had had impact. And Daniel, the same psychic dude, called me, tried to give me a session and stuff, though I think he charged me. Good job, Daniel. And I was like, if Daniel can't help me, the fuck am I going to do? I need to die. And so I won't say I tried to commit suicide, but there was a day I walked into an ocean that was exceptionally wavy, like you can't swim in it, currents. And on that day when I walked in there, after I really my ancestors work hard to keep me from there, like the sand has so much metal in there that burns your feet. And so I didn't have the shade moved, everything. So I couldn't get out there. I worked hard. I got out there. I get into the water and I get attacked by 100 sardines.
Wow.
And half sardines in my boobs. Like I ran out of that water. And what happened next was then my ayahuasca journey. And then through that, soon after I did Qigong, and that's actually when I learned all the things and like basically like everything that I needed connected every single one of those journeys, taught me very, very deep lessons in love, forgiveness, understanding, showed me the interconnected dynamics between relationships, like whether they're romantic or whether they're non-romantic. And then witnessing Kevin navigate these experiences and hold space for me, and how they were shaping our experience, and how me stepping into my power was literally forcing him into his, not forcing because he's making a choice, but giving him no choice but to either grow or leave.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, all of this is happening. And I'm finally like, okay, I got it. Like I got it. I've learned everything that will be my anchor moving forward. Right? Because sometimes it's like what you find, you're like, this is my anchor. Like Jaji art is like a very clear anchor for you. Right? So like
Yeah.
this is my anchor, and then everything gets built upon it. You know? And I'm like, I feel whole finally. And then I felt like I cleared up. I learned so much that I could be like, and you see that thing I did naturally, it is in this culture and this culture and this culture and this culture, and they do it this way and they do it this way. And I do it very similar to this way with this difference. Like I got that, and I got the language, and I got a couple of really core and key people who supported me along the way. Allison Bird was one of my coaches along the way. And there were some things like her depth, because she was also a sleeping phoenix, served me so much, you know? And all of that culminates in me going home and getting ready to launch all this stuff, the woofulness stuff. So back to the beginning with the business leap. And now I'm trying to say, how do I bring this all together to make it like a whole? And my mom gets sick. My mom collapses. And again, somehow I was sleeping, right? That's the sleeping of the sleeping phoenix. Somehow I was in this journey and didn't realize in the year that I hadn't seen mom, she was sick, like she was not doing well again. And so she collapses. And this time, though, I have every tool. And I realized that the whole journey that I was on took me back to helping my mother and being able to gift her the wisdom and literally like the medicine, like physical medicine that I was making with my hands to support her own healing journey. And then this past year, I took her to Mexico. But I took her in a very different position. I took her with savings, money in the bank, like fully enjoying the experience. And I took her to the medicine, like to the shaman, same honed experience that everybody has been on, but with some extra whistles and bells. Like we did forgiveness, like a forgiveness ceremony, and some extras. And she fucking loved it, which was wild to me because my mom doesn't do these types of things at all. And it felt like the full circle, like that I'd done my job essentially. For all the people that I love or care about in life, except maybe my husband. And in that instance, like, I feel like I say I've done my job, but like my chosen job, like on him to kind of do his stuff. But for me, as the baby thing, in the ceremony with the shaman, I went back to a memory from the womb. That's gnarly. And it was me as a fetus experiencing the outside world, and it was a car accident. And the cool thing is I got to validate it because I asked my mom. I was like, did you by chance? Because you know, everyone's like, go back to the womb. You feel safe. You feel whole. This is why also I want to just let me just say that if you're doing like a womb thing, don't tell them how they feel.
Mhm.
So I go back to the womb and I'm working with an indigenous shaman and they're not trying to tell you stuff. They're like, go back in. And I end up seeing, what do you see? Ask questions, right? I end up seeing lights, police lights. It's lights. And I'm like, I hear a siren. I feel like I see light. It's like not dark in here. And then I hear arguing and it's like, and I'm like, and the whole feeling was I need to get out of here and help my mom.
Oh, wow.
And so I thought it's like conditioning, like, oh, like I could say, well, my mom created a dynamic where I was helping her. Actually, so number one, like I had certain gifts, like money channel, this, that. So like I naturally, like these things were in alignment with me, but also from birth, my whole essence was like, I need to help her. I can't wait to get out this fucking belly and take care of her. And I went back to her and I was like, did this accident really happen? She's like, yeah, there was an accident and your dad came and he fought with police. And I was like, Jesus, baby heard it all. And she was like, I'm going to come out and take care of this lady. And, and I did. And I was like, okay, I've done my work. I've taken her to the medicine. My mom now lives with me and, you know, it's always fun because you get to like right size the commitment, but baby me wanted to do it and I got to let baby me know that she could let go of it and it was not an obligation and that she did her part. And that the at the core of love is mom for me. And for in my practice, I see that validated over and over again. But these repeated trips to Mexico eventually got me back to the deepest healing possible. And then coming home, every time my vibration shifted, and every time it pushed Kevin through different elements of his journey, different levels of acceptance, and more he opened. And then this year he did a past life regression. He did for the first time, he did a astrology reading for the first time, and then he got inspired on his own to go do Vipassana. And he just got back from Vipassana and moved through like deep healing work with his mom, his mother journey, and actually related to my mom. And so even my mom being here is also driving his experience too. And so it's I don't know, just all of this like you kind of like if you want to logic this out, you're like, what did this happen for? But it was like the minute I decided to take the sacral leap into the marriage, I really believe every single thing that has happened has lined up my marriage.
Mm.
Every single thing. All of this has made it so that I could really be in an honest, loving, transparent relationship in integrity. And so that I can care for my family in a way that's actually in alignment with me, not avoid things. And like I'm like literally like, what intention did I set that got me here? You know? And so I could have like, but I'm like, it worked for that so that I could love, literally, and be loved and feel love and not have people flip out on me and react in funky ways and all that. And sometimes that does happen, but I understand it and I can hold space for it. It's a completely different experience. And now I get to take Kevin to Mexico too, which will be fun. And 2 years, a couple years in, so 2 years ago, I was offered a position kind of full time, just bringing people to Mexico in this lovely villa in Tulum. And y'all know you haven't been there yet, but coming with me.
Mm-hmm.
For the next two, I'm taking to Mexico, really. But yeah, that was the love leap. And the love leap to me is the one that often like unlocks the most.
Mm.
But often sometimes you need to do the personal leap to be able to really receive at a level to do the love leap at depth. And as you can see, my business one was like intertwined with my love journey constantly. But I love that it's funny we broke it up this way. And that's really what I think about, like this trifecta of healing journeys. I know
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think about it, which is like your partnership journey, your personal power journey, and then your prosperity journey. And all of them really work together.
Yeah.
But for me, thinking about them separately, even though they're all interconnected, makes it a lot easier to like digest your seeking or healing journey if you're on it. Okay, I feel like I've talked an hour without y'all saying anything. So I'm gonna stop. But I said everything.
This is what happens
Well,
when you have 2 8s with Shebala suddenly.
I know, right? We're like just pulling it out of her. And I've got the 33 to your 13. So, that whole thing. But what came to me, Shabala, is
Mhm.
that you're the sleeping phoenix. And when people choose into your energy, like you are choosing into a rebirth. And I've been experiencing this over, the 10 months since I met you, because I didn't know, although I should have known because we had that conversation at dinner one night where I was like, ooh, my money journey. I'd love to. And you were like, oh, you're going to go through that.
Oh my God. So that, Jajhehan, you said something really critical.
Mm-hmm.
When I commit something to someone, like if I say some version of I'm gonna help you with that,
Mm-hmm.
it happens. Whether by like
Yeah.
me intentionally, like it will happen. So when you said that in my car,
Yeah.
when I said yes, it's almost like a little sealed contract and it
It
happens. And
was.
I, I, I like now I'm quite careful, like, cause I'm just
Yeah.
like, shit,
Well,
like
because
we're in
it
it.
it is a sealed contract, and I think what you also brought to the surface for me was, you know, for your partners, for the people who enter into those contracts, say yes to the sleeping phoenix, there is a level of surrender that you have to be willing to be in
Mhm.
for the journey to be one. Like we've had some wild experiences over the past 9 months,
Yo, are you
including
gonna
our
mention
business
it?
meeting. Yeah, like including our business meeting in Santa Fe in the hot tub that was supposed to be a business meeting under the full moon. It ended up being an entity clearing for me.
That was wild for me too because I didn't have my tools and it wasn't planned.
No,
It was
but
funny.
we were just
Like,
gonna talk Tulum. We weren't gonna clear an entity.
it was like I was like, Jajhehan, I was like, it was funny because this is what I love about you though. I was like, don't be scared. And that's not a big deal. But do you have like a deep well of anger in you? You're like, yes. Like, oh
I was
shit.
like, why, yes, I do. Thank you for saying that.
I was like, oh shit. And the crazier part is I should have like I'm not gonna shit on myself, but for the purposes of this conversation,
Mm.
I really could have seen it coming. Because I had inklings, but I was like, but you're a manifester, so it's kind of tricky, right? So like that's normal.
Mm-hmm.
And even with like all of this, to me, it is normal unless you've had work done or really
Mm-hmm.
had the space to like if you've gone through something extremely challenging like you have, especially with your daughter,
Mm-hmm.
and you haven't had the space to process and release, you're going to store energy. And if you're
Yes.
a manifesting generator, it's anger.
Mm-hmm.
So, like that's what I've noticed at least. And you're emotionally defined. So sometimes my emotional people is easier because they like let it out versus like me. But Mallory will tell you I regularly like scream at home. Like she'll be here and I'm like, I gotta go. And I go to them like, ah! Like it's, I do that, right?
I go into the forest and scream. So yes.
Oh, wait, but John, but you were just like, yes. And you had asked me if I pulled out a spear from someone.
Mm-hmm.
Like there was a couple days before and you're like, are you pulling out a spear? What are you doing? And I was like, why is she asking me that? And there was no thought in my mind. Like I had the perfect foreshadowing in the plot, like in the movie. There was like clear foreshadowing. I thought we were going to chill in a fucking jacuzzi. Like I did not. So I had no tools, but we had the water. And so yeah, say more. I'm just like, that was crazy.
Yeah. Well, and we had no tools, and yet we had you, we had me, we had water, and we had the moon. And
we had everything.
We had everything we needed. And, you know, the most important thing we had was the willingness to surrender and to be honest and transparent in that moment so that the thing that needed to be healed could be, because that was holding me back. It was holding us back. And there's been so many moments. It's like we think we're there and then, okay.
And then your magic is it was closing the loop, because coming back to this conversation, the first time I did that in an unexpected way. So your experience is the only, I know, your experience is the only next time. Like since then I've been prepared. I've been, I had a tool, I was prepared, there was something. And that was the first time since the first time where it was like completely unexpected, and where I could now be like, no, it's okay. I actually have lots of tools that I can use in different ways and don't need all this. Were you thinking something, Mallory?
Well, but then you used one of your tools in an unexpected way with me just like a month or so ago when I was there last time. We had a whole moment. So I'm at Shebala's house. Like we were like talking through some stuff that's coming up. She's like, do you want to have a session? We're going to have a session outside. Right. And I mean, there's still some stuff that I get to release. Right. And I'm not ready to release it.
Yeah.
And I was outside. We had taken a little break. I was grounding myself in the backyard. I'd taken my shoes and socks off. I had like laid down in the grass, just laying there. And she had this sense that she was supposed to bring that instrument she just showed. Yeah.
My Chinese harp. But I didn't have my like all my, normally I play with picks. So I just kind of brought it and was fangling around. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and you were playing it kind of just to, I don't know, like kill time or entertain yourself. It wasn't an intentional healing instrument in that moment, right? And you sit there and you start playing it, and you basically asked me if I wanted to continue the session, and I was like, no, just keep playing your music. And you sort of were a little like taken aback.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, now I gotta play. She's actually like paying attention to it. Yep.
I think I did use the word music, and I think maybe that threw you. And I was like, I wanted the sound that was coming out of there.
Yeah. And I paused myself and I was like, okay, I'm reacting, but let me calm down, and like this is meant to happen. But it was a growth moment for me too.
Yeah. And so then I'm like sitting there with my eyes closed, and she's playing, and I had my eyes closed this whole time. And then I kind of felt this. She starts playing with this sort of like zoom, zoom, zoom sort of sound. And in my head, it felt like this almost like wind kind of going through my throat, my like, this area, which is where I kind of had already identified there was like stuff being held. And so then like hours later, it's like bedtime, we're chatting before we go upstairs. And I mentioned that was what I felt. And we basically confirmed for each other that the thing I felt was the intention that she said. And I confirmed for her that I felt the thing that she was trying to send to me.
I was like, good. Cause I was, I don't know if it's my 51 or what, like there's this like a thing with me where when I know there's a thing the great thing about Mallory is with her being in my space and us working together, there is like consent, though I still ask for consent over and over again. And I was like, I think I can send her some energy. So going back to what Jaji was saying about like the tools are here, I was like, well, we're going to use it. And I started using a combo of breathwork and qigong techniques, but with the instrument. And this is like a dream I had of using the instruments for directed sound healing, which people do all the time, but like really thinking back to like very specific techniques I've learned in qigong and essentially making the instrument use them. But it literally was also just like fun. It's literally like there is a movie called it's playing, but there is a movie I saw called it's like Kung Fu something, but they basically like fight with a gun. And they like people are sending what is it, like weapons, and they're like fighting it with the sound waves of the music. And there's been so much new information, like FDA just approved sound waves for cancer. And so I was just like, let me see if I can do this. And she's not ready to open up with conversation. Let's see if we can do this. And yeah, like you were willing to receive, and you had like your clearing and got a good cry out of that. And for me, like this is like the epitome of like traveling partners, right? Because we're working together. Like y'all are my professional partners. And also like we all have healing juju. Like Mallory is literally pulling out my creativity and the ways in which I leverage that to heal. Jajhehan's closing loops for me consistently. And like, to be honest, like you asked about like my leaps, y'all were both my biggest leaps in 2025. Say yes to the woman who walked up to me, told me she saw me in her dreams, and then deciding we were going to go on this crazy wild ride and start this retreat together, and saying yes to Mallory. And we'll talk about Mallory's leap momentarily when we have her session. But Mallory hiring her as my chief of staff and kind of saying yes to the boss babe salary that comes with Mallory.
Bella, do you remember that we had a conversation about Mallory when you were talking about all the things that you had to do for candles and all of this and all these things, and you were still doing it all your own? And you were like, yeah, and I've got Mallory and she helps me a little bit. And I think she'd be really wonderful at this. And I said, well, what about Mallory?
Oh, shit.
Jaji.
You're welcome. And it was just like a little, like, it was an aside. It was like, well, what about her? What about like, it just landed once. And then you like 2 weeks later were like, I think I'm bringing Mallory on as my chief of staff. And I was like, great.
I love it.
It was, and not to take it wasn't that it was the initiation. It's like the things that drop out of our energy. And like, that is the magic. It's, like you said, the loops that close, the phoenix that rise, like all of the,
all of it.
All the leaps into rebirth.
And so as we're going to wrap up for today, I just want to do a quick plug. All of us are going to be present for a beautiful transformational experience. So Prosperity Artists and the Prosperity Artist Homecoming experiences are coming back like in full form, full flow, full expression. And so Mallory, Jajhehan, and myself will be in Mexico. We're doing a first experience February 13th through 19th, and a second one February 27th through March 5th. And they are going to be taking us through the eclipse season. And so it is our energy, it is eclipse energy, it is all of the tools that I've learned around the way, the tools Jaji has learned along the way, her art. Mallory is going to be coming in for the personal power one, doing listening and reflection sessions. She's going to bring her magical movement. She's going to bring her full expression. And all of that is happening now. And so the opportunity for that is now. It's for the folks who are ready to change their world and to recognize that their medicine is art, and it is time to rise in your power and bring this out into the world, because the world is changing quickly and we need you.
This year there's an initiation going on, and it's like this is not a year to be like, oh, a year from now I'll do this. It's like, this is a month from now, I'm ready for my rebirth.
Yes.
I'm ready to leap.
And then on January 6th, we'll officially be launching prosperityartist.com, though you can reach out to any of us to sign up right now. My contact information is Shebala on Shebala.com, but you can also hit us up all on Instagram or wherever you know us from. And I wanted to show you this. So in a couple of days from now, you will have this page, prosperityartist.com, and it's going to give you everything you need to know in depth about the experience and the agenda. You'll see all the ceremonies. There'll be lovely pictures of us and details for my investigators out there. This is coming. And also, if you know, don't wait. Like, if you know, hit us up now. It is going to be an intimate experience. And we have this gorgeous villa, and there are a few rooms in there. And so if you want to be part of that, let us know. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you both so much. Thank you for my hot seat, and thank you for helping me share my journey.
Thank you for sharing your journey. That was so beautiful to see the arc of everything that you've gone through that's brought you to this moment. And I mean, you've been creating what we're going to be bringing people through in Tulum for years. Like
5 years.
5 years.
I think it's your entire lifetime, if we're being honest. Let's be honest.
Yes. That's why I wasn't like 5.
And certainly at least since 2018, but also probably my entire lifetime. But yeah, 2018, like that corporate experience onwards, I would say. Or certainly, I really think the start of my initiation was choosing entrepreneurship. I think of it that way. So 2018, since now. So what is that, a decade? Not yet. 18.
Getting close. Getting
8 years.
close. 8 years. Yeah. And it's like, I think, Mallory and I, like the gifts that we're bringing, this is a lifetime of experience that we're bringing. And it's like
living it for a lifetime.
That's how it is. You keep growing into more and more of what you're here to bring the world.
If you're doing it right, you are.
Amen.
I really believe if you're doing it right, if we're going to make a right or wrong, my version is you're having fun.
Agreed.
And you're
whatever feels light.
And you're appreciating the moment. Sometimes it doesn't feel light for me. I'm not going to lie on that one. There are moments that it feels heavy, and yet I've gotten to this place where it can feel heavy, and I'm in full gratitude. Like my dog talked to me, I was like, "Thank you for this medicine. Thank you for this medicine," and it's that. And so, for some people, that is like that feeling in their body. I know you are emotional. Is a light feeling to move forward through. But even
it's peace for me, actually, it's like light. Yeah, it's peace for me. It's even when it's intense, because I don't necessarily I describe my literal births, as intense and truly peaceful, even though they were impactful and wild. It's like peace. Yeah, at the core of it.
Speaking of, let's leave with one word. So one thing we would like to wish to the audience. If you listen to this, I want to say thank you. Yeah. We've been hanging out for a while, and it also means you listen to my story, and someone who spent a long time not feeling seen. Um, if you're hearing this, then you're seeing me at a level that most people have never, because I've told this story at depth. And so, uh, thank you. Thank you for receiving it. Thank you for holding space. Thank you for being here. I'll come back to me at the end with my one word. So, Jajhehan, Mallory, one word for the audience.
Peace.
So
Mallory, go.
mine is in 2 words, but it's the intention that I set for myself for this year, but I think it's relevant. Divine surrender.
Divine surrender. I wanted to like say love because it's love rebirth, but the word is actually growth.
Mm.
Growth, and since Mallory gave us 2, embracing growth.
I feel like I get to add one into mine.
Yes.
Yeah. Gratitude and peace is what, like, overwhelming peace. It's like that peace that spills out and just fills your life and then the lives around you.
Okay, I can feel that. Thank you for that. All right, y'all. We love you and look forward to chatting with you soon. Definitely like, follow, and subscribe. I've never said that, but I'm enjoying it. To this channel.
Ring that bell.
Out with prosperity. Come
Smash
join
that
us.
button.
Thank you. Smash that button. We will see you soon. Woofulness lunches on January 19th, and we've got some candles and other products for you. Check out Mallory and Jajhehan. Both of them have services. You can borrow my chief of staff, and you can hang out with Jajhehan online and with me on a beach in Tulum. Thank you, and have a beautiful day. Bye-bye.